Yo guys, One Punch Gaming here, and today we're gonna be reacting to a YouTube channel called Share My Story. You know that YouTube channel that always has like 10 or 8-minute videos about how a main character, coincidentally, everything bad goes to them and not anyone else? Yes, that YouTube channel. So, if you want to check it out, I'll put a link in the description. Alright, let's get into the video.
Hey, my name is Jasmine, and more than 2 decades ago, I was born into a very rich and powerful family in Syria. I was an only child, and my parents made sure I had everything I needed. They even got me a new baby tiger every few months, so I could ride on his back through our palace. But
every few months, and excuse me lady, it's my job to pause the video, not you. So don't you ever do that again. Well, let's get back into the video.
I wasn't prepared for what happened next. I was only 10 when my dad ran into my room and said, "Jasmine, my love, you have to flee this palace immediately. There is a hidden tunnel that will bring you outside, and from there you have to go to Uncle Nabil's home. He will take care of you. Just trust me, and we will see each other again soon." I remember being petrified, but I followed my dad's order and went with one of the maids through the tunnel. It was connected to the sewage water system of our city, and we had to climb out of a man.
Oh, what's wrong with that water? Y'all gonna end up turning into some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles if y'all touch that water. We gonna have one middle-aged turtle, and then we gonna have a 10-year-old one. And why she just standing there like that? What's wrong with her arms? Who stands up and has their arms so wide that you could throw a football through them?
Hole covered to get out again. When we arrived in front of my Uncle Nabil's home, we saw several policemen in front of it, and then they forcefully brought him outside and put him into their black van. My maid wasn't sure what to
I don't think police officers use black vans, so they might have just got kidnapped by some guys dressed up as police officers.
do, but she said we could go to her hometown and live with her family for some time. Of course, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to find my parents. So when my maid was distracted for a moment, I took my chance and ran away to find my parents.
Didn't they tell you to leave? Now, if you get sniped or something, it's your fault because your dumb self decided to leave. I would have just went with her.
And because I had grown up in a palace, I was pretty naive and didn't know much about the life outside. Suddenly, I was all alone in a big city. I walked back to my parents' palace, but I could see from afar how it was burning. I felt so hopeless that I just broke down and cried. From one day to the other, I had lost everything. My parents, my home, and now also my maid. The first night...
But guess what? Whose fault is that? Yours. Yeah. Yeah, let's get back into the video.
Sleeping on the streets was the most horrible experience of my life. It was that night when I learned that unless someone protects you, that other people will try to take advantage of you, even if you're only 10 years old. Tired and scared, I went to the shop of an old woman who was selling bread. I asked if I could work for her in exchange for shelter, and luckily, she agreed. She made me work very hard, but at least it made me forget about my problems. But one night, the old woman asked me about my parents, and I told her my family name. At first, she didn't believe that I was the child of one of the richest and most powerful families in our country. But when she realized I was telling the truth, she got angry and said my family had stolen her uncle's land, which led to him becoming poor and homeless. Of course, I was just a little girl and had no idea what she was talking about. But she must have hated my family a lot, because next, she kicked me out of her shop.
She didn't kick you out. She like floated towards you, and you fell out the door. Just had to point that out.
Up and onto the streets again. Trust me, you don't want to be alone on the streets at night as a 10-year-old girl. I'll spare you the details, but that was the beginning of the worst period in my life. For weeks, I was begging on the streets for food until one day a man approached me and asked for my name. I wasn't
And then he asked me to get in a white van. I don't know why.
sure if I should trust him, but I was so weak and hungry that I just didn't care anymore. So I told him my family name and who I was. I was lucky. He turned out to be an old friend of my dad, who had been searching for me since I disappeared.
Yeah, he coincidentally was an old friend of your dad. No way was that. No way is the story not fake. It's definitely not fake. And she obviously, somehow coincidentally ran into a friend of her dad.
Later that day, he explained to me what was going on.
And then he took me to a white van and said, get in and he'll take me somewhere fun.
He said my dad had refused to give half of his money to the new ruler of Syria, and therefore was thrown into prison. He also told me that my parents probably weren't alive anymore. But I was too young to understand what that meant. I still thought my parents were simply...
You're 10, right? I'm pretty sure 10-year-olds know what death is. So, like, how did you not understand what he meant when he said that your parents are not alive? Is it that hard to realize that your parents aren't living anymore?
playing a game, and soon we would be reunited. But the next week, my dad's friend gave me a fake passport and sent me to the United States of America to start a new life. I was picked up by someone who turned out to be a distant relative of mine, and even though he had never met my dad or mom, he was generous enough to raise me. It was a strange relationship, though. He didn't treat me
He got a big car, dang. Why is it so wide?
like a daughter, but rather as a maid who had to clean his apartment and cook for his family in exchange for being allowed to live with him. His daughter was the same age as me, and never liked me. For her, I was some kind of parasite, and she always gave me orders telling me to clean up her room or go wash her dishes. But even though she never
Don't make my sandwiches.
treated me with respect, I still couldn't hate her. She and her family were the reason I wasn't living on the streets of Syria anymore. And cleaning and cooking for a whole family from age 10 taught me a hard work ethic. So when I went to university, I studied harder than any of my classmates, and after 3 years, I graduated, summa cum laude from Columbia University. Afterward, I started my own home cleaning.
Why are you smiling so awkwardly? Like, that's a forced smile. He doesn't like you. He's actually gonna cheat on you 10 years after y'all get a divorce. You know what? Y'all not even gonna have a divorce by the time he starts cheating on you.
Company, which today has more than 90 employees. I just kept on working harder and harder, driven by my fear of ending up on the streets again. But even though I achieved a lot of success in my life, I still felt like something was missing. It all changed when I met Jordan at a business event. He was a famous NFL player and extremely confident. When he took me into his arms, I finally felt safe again, just like I did many years ago when I was living with my parents inside our beautiful palace back in our home country. Most of my memories have faded, but I can still remember my loving parents. I miss them a lot. My husband and I got married 2 months ago, and now I'm pregnant.
Ha, I'm gonna have to edit that out. Ha, censored. Ha, censored. Not allowed to be in the video.
I feel like my family gave me a purpose to my life. Because it can't be all about achieving and making money. There must be something that makes the suffering of life worth it. Thank you for listening to my story. And I hope that all of you will someday find the right person to share your life with.
Nope. Well, guys, that was the video. How'd you like this new type of reaction video? Put down in the comments whether you like if you want me to do more of these or not. Well, I'll see you guys later.